Hello, everyone. Steve Vetterl of Auvoria Prime CMA with our forecast for upcoming trade week call. And everybody, thank you for attending. Today is the 23rd of May. We have a very special guest today, so please text your upline and downline. Get everybody on this call because we put a lot of work in this week to really bringing to you guys a risk management plan. So ultimately, that's the goal. So with the disclaimer screen, let's get through this real quick. And by the way, this weekend, no Q&A. So if you guys want, you can, if you think it's really urgent, you can send me an email. My email will be on the next screen. But we want to take some time and not have a really drawn out call today because we want to get an opportunity to have Jesse introduce to you by Sal Leto, our main guy. So with that being said, risk disclosure. Trading the foreign exchange markets carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Do keep in mind that I try very hard each week to challenge everybody to put a risk management and trade plan together. Why? Because this will allow you, hopefully with the right settings, will be guiding you towards to not blow up your account. So I will, and actually, you know what, towards the end, well, I'll talk a little bit more about this if we have time, but if you are sharing any results from Alexander or Iris or Einstein, please do not use the term company recommended settings. So Auvoria Prime does not have any recommended settings. We're not a financial advisory firm. The firm licensed software the users can use however they want at their own risk and discretion. So some software does come with default settings, and we show a lot of that on the screens each week upon initial setup, which users have the ability to customize their settings however they want. So Auvoria has nothing to do with the customer's brokerage account. We don't solicit or take investments. We have no investment pool to invest in. We don't recommend any brokers, okay? So we're just licensing software and we sell really, really great education. So as I talk about every week, please go in and check out Adeze Duncan's Forex Basics course. It is excellent. And with that being said, I'm going to go through real quickly the forecast, and then we'll turn it over to Mr. Sal Leto and Jesse. So here we're looking at the S&P 500 chart. As again, I like to start off with just a broad understanding of what's going on in the equity markets. These particular 500 companies are some of the largest in the world, and they dictate from a trading perspective what's going on. So as you can see, we've been stuck in a range off of a huge bounce. We had really up near 3,400, markets tanked all the way down towards the bottom in 2,200, and we've had a very large bounce.
Steve, real quick.
Yes.
Steve, not to interrupt, sorry. The screen is still on the risk disclosure.
Okay. Let me switch over.
I just saw people pointing out. Yep, thanks.
Look at, I'm trying to motor through this really quick, and I forget to share the screen. So let me just shift over. There we go. So S&P 500 is what you guys are viewing here. This is the U.S. main largest 500 companies from a capitalization perspective. I always try and show this chart first so we can get an idea of what's going on as far as some of the 500 largest companies in this country, which unfortunately we have some lower earnings going forward. But when we really reached the peak towards the end of February, up towards the 3,400 level, as many of you could probably see, the market's just completely tanked with very high volume, by the way, which is down at the bottom of the screen. The lifting of most boats as far as financial assets by the Federal Reserve, as long as, or I should say, in addition to the other European and Asian central banks have lifted a lot of these assets in terms of backstopping the marketplace. And now we've been stuck in a tight range, as you can see, bouncing around between that. Low volume, as you can see down here towards the bottom. Not a lot of participation in this sort of upper test of our upper trading range. So who knows if it's going to break or not. I would actually expect it to bounce around in here, but we'll see next week, obviously, when everybody gets back from a holiday that is in a couple of countries on Mondays. So let's talk about the Forex calendar. Again, for those, I use a filter. I take out orange, yellow, and I take out a lot of the other currencies. We've seen a lot of craziness in the Swiss franc, so we actually don't have anything related to that in any of our trading recommendations, so forth. But this is how the filter looks. So on Monday, bank holiday. So it's the spring bank holiday in the UK, and for the US, obviously, for many of our domestic, it is Memorial Day. So happy Memorial Day, everybody. So the markets will be closed on Monday. This is a New York Stock Exchange holiday as well. Doesn't mean there's not going to be volatility in currencies. It just means that a bunch of the money supply systems are going to be turned off on Monday. So for those trading the NZD ring, we have a financial stability report. Keep in mind, these are all Eastern time zone numbers, which is the same stuff that I post in my the forecast notes that are attached to this video in the back office of Auvoria. So with that being said, I probably, if I was trading any of the NZD ring currency pairs, I probably would have the systems turned off before this. And you'll see that in my notes as well. For those trading anything due to or surrounding the Euro ring, Christine Lagarde is going to be speaking. This is more of like an event where there's Q&A. So a lot of times, if anything related to an event has Q&A, whether it's Jerome Powell speaking, Federal Reserve Chairman here in the U.S., or any of the big ECB presidents, the fact that there's a Q&A related to the event brings additional risk inside this. So I prefer to have the software turned off within 60 minutes before and after an event like this. So just as a side note, if your settings are a little closer in time, you may want to up that to 60 minutes and avoid all the volatility. So that's that. We have preliminary GDP. We know this is probably going to be a rotten number on Thursday. Then we have Federal Reserve Chairman Powell speaking. So I would not have the software on in trading. And I know we get a lot of questions surrounding, if the software is in drawdown, which we're going to address a little bit this week. What do I do with my stuff actively running? And with my channel, by the way, if you have not already subscribed to Trade Tracker with Steve Vetterl, yours truly, I would highly suggest you do it. We've been posting a lot of stuff. We've seen our subscriber base really grow on this channel, which has been great. But I would love to see the subscriber base triple where it's at right now. So if you guys could just suggest to everybody in the up and down line, get subscribed to the channel, because it's the only way you're going to stay plugged in to my midweek updates. So on Monday, as we jump over to the software, I did not have Einstein on Monday. Okay. So these are the settings. I'm probably going to switch this to 60 minutes, by the way, right here, as far as the news coming up this particular week. Right now it's at 45, as you can see, but I did not have the software on trading the Japanese yen because anything related to that ring has just been terrorized in the last week or so. But I also got a lot of requests for, hey, what do I do if I'm in drawdown? And, quite frankly, as I'm, only 6 weeks into this role and being just drilled with piles of data to make it through, I'm still unwilling to say that I'm smarter than the software and that you should go in and turn it off. Now, I understand there's some of you that will disagree with that, and that's fine, because many of you are much more plugged into how this acts with one of the three pairs that may be trading in drawdown. But again, by allowing it to do its work, it pulled many people completely out of drawdown. Some actually finished with a profit, which is great. So you can see that on the Telegram channel if you look at any of the Auvoria Prime results pages, which are just great stuff to take a look at as far as seeing what others are doing outside of myself. What else do I want to talk about? Here's the Einstein FX Blue. If you guys have not seen the link to this, the link to this is in my Trade Tracker with Steve Vetterl channel. You can see this. This account's been running for 40 days. It is a demo account. We are running the basic with the basic settings that you see shown here on the screen as well. So this will allow you to see real-time verified what's going on. I am setting up a trade tracker with myself, a live account that's going to be trading essentially the same thing. We're probably going to have a couple other live accounts as well to show, so we can begin to see real world execution, and not live in the demo land where there's no slippage and everything's sort of perfect. So stay tuned on that. I'm really excited about that as far as getting, more things to do during the week. So that's really all I have. I don't want to do any Q&A because we just don't have the time for it this week. I want the opportunity for our master Jesse. So if you would please, Sal, take over, and I'll mute.
All right. Thank you so much. Just sound check real quick. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Steve. So very exciting to see the progress that we're making as a team collectively here inside of Auvoria Prime. Over time, things are going to just get better and better. And that's because of the commitment from all of our team members working together to improve the project. We're constantly reevaluating what we're doing for our customers and how we can improve that. And also over time, we get to evaluate results, right? One of the big parts of evaluation is looking back at your entire business model and figuring out what's working, what's not working. And the same goes with our products. The way we provide access to our customers for our products, that always needs to be reevaluated. And so what I want to do is I want to give a quick introduction here. Some of you have already heard this news that we're launching an EA Academy. And I'm going to be introducing you to our first coach, who's going to be helping inside the EA Academy under the direction and mentorship of Mr. Steve Vetterol. So this is very unique. Obviously, Auvoria Prime's vision is to develop the world's most attractive EA marketplace. We want to build an understanding in the marketplace globally that if you want to make money in the Forex market, then you should join Auvoria Prime. That's really what we want to do. And many of you know we have over a dozen different strategies being beta tested. And most of those strategies include actual technologies from expert advisor trade softwares to alert systems and indicators and tools, different trade strategies. And we're huge on beta testing. Before Auvoria Prime looks to launch a new product, we want to collect as much data as possible and be as thorough and extensive as possible in that beta test. And really, one of the goals of us beta testing something is to see that product or tool or indicator or strategy, whatever it is we're testing, go through different market cycles. Because how many of you guys know that if you have an EA or if you have an indicator that's crushing it 1 month, the very next month, the market can shift and have a completely different environment. And that same strategy that was working 1 month, all of a sudden stops working the next month. In fact, EA softwares are notorious for that. I would say in general, throughout the last decade, all of the experienced traders that I've spoken with that have tried expert advisor softwares, they'll say that. They'll say, hey, EAs are great short term. They'll work short term, and then all of a sudden there's a different market cycle, and then boom, the EA is no longer performing well. Now, we've proven that that is incorrect. We've actually proven that there are successful strategies that you can use within an EA environment that can work long time. But the biggest thing that we've confirmed in this entire launch of Auvoria Prime is that the greatest factor in determining the success of a product is not the technology itself, but the user of the product. So whenever you look at beta testing and you look at data, you always want to look at commonalities and variables. And so commonalities just means, what's the same in the situation, and then what's the variable that's creating a different result or a different factor. So as an example, okay, if you're an affiliate with Auvoria Prime and you compare yourself to another affiliate of Auvoria Prime. Okay, what are the commonalities? Well, you're both affiliates. That's the same. You're both in Auvoria Prime. That's the same, but you're achieving different results. So that's a variable. And so then in a beta test, you'd want to look at why is that the reason for creating different results, a different outcome. What's the variable and why is the variable creating that different result? And it's because the affiliate is doing something different than the other affiliate. Even though they're both affiliates, they're behaving differently, and that's going to have a different outcome. It's the exact same with products, with Expert Advisor software, right? So we have Alexander that we created with the United States in mind. It's a manual trade alert system. It functions the same for every customer. And obviously, Auvoria Prime is offering that product, and it's the same company, right? Same thing with Einstein. Einstein is not available in the United States because it doesn't have manual approval of every single trade, even though it's fully customizable, and it's still not an auto trader. We've had preliminary reviews by different legal organizations outside the United States who've reviewed Einstein and have come to the conclusion that it's not an auto trader because it's fully customizable. You control which trading pairs you're trading with, what your risk settings are, and the biggest key in determining that it's not an auto trader is because you can manually open and close trades whenever you want. You have full control. Even if a trade was executed based on the settings you created versus manually executing that trade, you could still go in and close that trade out. So when we're looking at these softwares, here's what we've learned is that there are many softwares that can be very effective if the user knows how to use them. That's the biggest factor. So quick example. Okay, let's say I purchase a Bugatti, right? Most of you know what a Bugatti car is. It's one of the most expensive cars in the world. They have different models, very attractive car. It's a high performance vehicle. But if you go take a 15-year-old kid who's never driven a car before and you place him inside of a Bugatti and you say, hey, this is the greatest car in the world. Go have fun with it and go maximize its performance. Because the kid has no experience driving the Bugatti, he probably won't even know how to start that car. In fact, most people who've driven other cars still wouldn't know how to start a Bugatti because there's special steps that are unique to that Bugatti in knowing how to start that car. And if you don't know how to drive, for example, a paddle shifter or a manual transmission vehicle to where you know how to switch gears, then you still can't maximize the performance of that car. So as an example, if I'm driving a stick shift and I'm stuck in first gear, even though the vehicle has the ability to get up to 100 miles an hour, if I don't get out of first gear, I'm never going to experience that. So then the question is, when you're testing that, when you're looking at those results, if someone were to say, hey, I got in this car, they told me it could go 100 miles an hour, and I only got up to 30 miles an hour. The car's broken and the car doesn't work, right? If you go and look at that situation and you investigate it and you say, okay, does the car not work or does the person not know how to drive the car? 9 times out of 10, you're going to discover that the person didn't know how to drive the car. If the person knew how to switch gears, then the person would actually have the ability to go faster and get use out of the performance of that vehicle and experience its maximum capacity of performance. That's the same thing with an Expert Advisor trade software. Many softwares work amazingly. They're tools of leverage to do some of the heavy lifting for you as a trader, to do some of the analysis as a trader, to help you be able to execute trades faster on the go, to offer more freedom and flexibility. But if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have experience, then you're not going to be able to maximize the performance, right? And you might blame the software when really it's your lack of education. So with all of the beta testing that we've done, that's a huge thing that we've discovered, because we see people crushing results every week with all of our products. And then we also see people losing money with all of our products. And we also see people getting moderate results, conservative results with all of our products. The products are the same. The company's the same, but the people are different. So our goal as a company is, if we want to create as many successful traders as possible, we have to find out what the different variables are and fix those variables. So when you see someone having amazing results, you have to ask why. You have to look at what they're doing. And then what you want to do is you want to duplicate that variable that's working correctly as much as possible with as many people as possible. So luckily, because we've already been running for 60 days, we have very experienced traders that are part of our community. We've been able to see amazing results, right? And so our goal is, hey, why don't we teach people and expose people to the different results that other people are getting? Because if you knew what you can do, you'd be attracted to that. If someone's getting better results than you should be open-minded and say, well, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And so that's what gave us the idea, hey, let's launch the world's first ever expert advisor academy, where we take the most successful traders, give them an opportunity to be coaches, and give people an opportunity to track the activity and the decisions of those coaches. Now, let me talk about compliance. As Steve already did a great job mentioning, we are not a financial advisory firm. We can't give financial advice. Only Steve Vetterall can give financial advice, right? He's a licensed financial advisor. But no one else on our corporate team is. And so it's very, very important that you understand this. We're going to introduce you to new coaches. We're going to build a new coaching department. Each coach will have their own Telegram channel that we call trade tracking. And these channels are 100% voluntary for subscribers to join that channel at their own discretion. Okay, now when we start a channel, it's not to be misconstrued as financial advice, because a subscriber can join the channel and they can leave the channel whenever they want. Now, it's completely fine if someone shows their own strategies for educational purposes without making the recommendation that anyone else should follow those strategies themselves if an individual is not licensed to do so. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be bringing on our first coach that I'm very excited to hear from and to show the rest of our community what's been happening. This gentleman, I've been talking with him now for a couple of months, and it's been so refreshing, incredible, not just because of the results that he's achieving with our products in Auvoria Prime, but because of who he is. The more I get to know this man, the more I see an example in areas of his life that even inspire me to do things better. This is one of the most diligent, disciplined, hungry, ambitious young men that I've ever met in my entire career as an entrepreneur. In the last 18 months, he's put in over 5,000 hours of studying the Forex markets, and he's created an anomaly. He's created a situation that is so uncommon, it's so unique, that definitely his story is worth being shared. So you'll learn more about his story, but he went through a very difficult time in his life where he had a work-related injury and he was stuck in bed and he was depressed and he had no options to improve his life. And he couldn't go back and do the same work that he was doing before to earn money. He had to figure out a new way to make money. And so he came across the Forex market and he decided to go all in to study, test, learn, and apply different strategies. And for a long time, he used a demo account because he's smart and he knows that it's important to not overly risk yourself and to make sure you know what you're doing before you risk any live capital. By the time he went into live trading, because of all of the things he had learned through the 5,000 hours of studying, he started achieving phenomenal results. In fact, for someone to say I've been trading for a year and a half and to have already earned more than $100,000 on a live trading account in a single month, guys, that is so uncommon. And so he took that same discipline, that same ambition, and put that into learning the products of Auvoria Prime. And he's been using these similar strategies for the last 15 months. And this is what's crazy, is not only is he hungry, but he's diligent about documenting his results to create data reports, because numbers don't lie, right? People do, but numbers don't lie. And one of the most amazing things you can do is track your progress, document every single trade, so that when you come up with a new thesis on how you should trade and what strategies you should use, it's backed by actual performance and data. You're not just going blindly, you're not guessing, you're making educated decisions based on actual results. And that's not easy. So I'll tell you this, Jesse has traded every single pair that you can trade using our products on every single risk level and every single time frame. You're talking about tens of thousands of trades, and he's documented the results of every single one in a forward testing environment. Now he could go back and plug in different strategies and get an idea more or less based on history what to expect in trying different strategies, right? So that's invaluable, and we're so excited that Jesse's agreed to come on and be a blessing to the rest of our community by being our first EA Academy coach. Because here's one thing he said. I asked him this last week. I said, Jesse, you're an incredible trader, okay? And you now have financial freedom in your life because of how well you trade. When you look at our products in Auvoria Prime, do you think we have good products? He said, Sal, these are the best products I've ever seen, right? And you can imagine how great that is to hear, right? That you get confirmation from someone who has the experience in the industry to confirm that Auvoria Prime is on the right track. So if your opinion differs than Jesse's opinion, compare your experience to Jesse, compare how much testing have you done with Jesse, and I want you to ask yourself this: do you fully know how to use the product? Are you confident in that? Do you think you can get better results? And do you think the difference is, do you have to change your product, or do you have to change yourself? Do you have to change your strategy? Now, no strategy is perfect. There's no guarantee. There's no such thing as passive income where you do nothing and get rich. That is something that will never happen. And that's not what Auvoria Prime wants. We're not looking for the perfect set of settings where someone can create some type of passive income. You know what that does? That just creates laziness. That stops the growth of humanity. That's not why Auvoria Prime is here. We're not here to attract people who want to get rich easy. We're here to attract people who want to learn, who want to improve their skill set, who want to be empowered and equipped with better tools so they can develop and take control over their own financial future. And we want to provide them with the tools and the strategies in order to do that faster. So that's not the easy road, because most people are looking for the easy way out. We're not looking for the easy way out. We're looking for transformation. We're looking to change people's life so that if they ever leave Auvoria Prime, they still learned and grew so much that they could take that experience with them to benefit them for the rest of their life. That's who we're looking for. And Jesse is a perfect candidate to help be a coach in that, because he's gone through the transformation. He's gone through the experience that's needed, the journey that's needed to go through the trial and error, to make all the mistakes so that he can become better, right? And so if you want the success of someone like that, you have to be willing to do what they did. The benefit is that you get the insight, the wisdom, you get the history, you get the data, so that you don't have to make all the same mistakes that Jesse did. So very exciting for everyone who's on this call. We have a lot of people on this call. You guys can help me give a warm Auvoria Prime welcome to our very first EA Academy coach, Mr. Jesse Kammer. Jesse, give me a sound check and let me know we can hear you okay.
Thank you, Sal, for the great introduction. I am so happy to be on this call. Please drop a 444 in the chat box if you guys can hear me, if you're excited to get to know my story. Like Sal has been saying, it has been a journey. I have had the ups, I have had the downs, and I want to be able to share my experience and my knowledge with all of you. And then you guys can all make the decision yourself. If you want to, follow my lead, there's going to be a channel that will be provided. Same thing, kind of like Steve has, where you guys can actually plug in, and I will be just giving you guys insight on what I am personally doing. I'm not making any type of suggestions or recommendations. You guys have to be the ones to discern whether or not, you want to follow this, or if you want to follow what Steve is doing, or some other coaches that are in Auvoria Prime. First off, I just want to kind of go over a little bit of my story so you guys can, get to know me a bit better, and then I can dive into, how I have come across, what I am personally using and been using for the past 9 months here. Roughly a year and a half, actually it's probably been over 2 years ago, I used to do construction. I used to do rough framing for houses and apartments. I did this for 3 years. It wasn't the job that I thought I was going to get into, but it paid the bills. Unfortunately, I had a work-related injury. I took a fall and sprained what I thought was spraining my ankle. On the job site, told my boss, hey, I think I sprained my ankle, blah, 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 go home. And I wasn't actually able to walk by the end of the day. And I was actually hanging out with one of my friends, and he says, I don't think you're going to work. And I was like, I have to go to work. I lived paycheck to paycheck almost my entire life until I was introduced into the FX markets. So, just like a lot of people out there, I didn't have, the opportunity to just take time off of work to heal. So with the construction, industry, a lot of people know it's very tough. People are very tough on you. And after a few short days of taking time off work, I went back to work with my ankle, put on an ankle brace, and worked on it for a couple months because I couldn't afford the time off of work, right? So in doing so, I ended up actually hurting my ankle more. And 3 months go by, and then I finally decided to go to the doctor. Doctor moves my ankle around. He looks at me with this face of concern, and he says, you need to go see a specialist. And right then and there, I knew that, I more than likely was going to need a surgery. And longer story short, I ended up needing to get a surgery. I was put in a boot. Unfortunately, there were some things that had happened that workers' compensation denied me. I just bought a brand new 2500 Dodge Ram that was probably above what I probably should have got at that time. I was living on my own. I was living paycheck to paycheck. And next thing you know, my income was gone. And I was off work. The doctor said, you're going to be off work for at least 6 to 9 months. Now put that in perspective, everyone. You might be in that situation, maybe not a work-related injury right now, but you may be in a situation right now with the current circumstances in the world where you have been laid off, where you have had your back up against the wall, where you didn't know where to go. Auvoria Prime, I truly believe, my opinion is that they have the proper tools and the vehicle to help tens of thousands of people in the position that I was in. If you're ambitious and if you truly want it, you will be able to achieve it. So after I was put in that position, I was introduced to the FX markets, right? I'm on my bed, no income. I was down to a couple $1,000s in my bank account. I was thinking about turning in my truck. I was going to have to move back in with my parents, right? Thankfully, I do have great parents, and they were going to let me move back in. But someone told me about the FX markets. I had no idea the foreign exchange markets even existed at that time. I really didn't. I didn't know what I was getting myself into at that time, but I saw the potential. There was nowhere where I was going to be able to go at that time, right, to start to make an income. So I saw an opportunity. I saw a vehicle to help me reach my goals. So I made a pretty risky decision. I definitely don't suggest that, just because you have nothing in your bank account and stuff, that you just go all in like I did. But we can see when we look at celebrities and leaders all around the world, a lot of these people hit a rock bottom before they became successful. That rock bottom brings out something in people. You ever hear about these stories, how, a child is trapped under, a heavy object, a car or something, and then, someone comes up with incredible strength and lifts it. There's something about us that when you hit that rock bottom, there's a whole nother feeling. There's a whole nother feeling of ambition where you need to drive forward. I had no other choice. I had to produce something. So I saw the foreign exchange markets, something where I didn't need a degree, right? I didn't need, a college degree. I didn't need a lot of money to get started. All of the content to learn how to trade was free online. So I was self-taught. I saw that there was professional traders out here making, what I made in a year in a month. So I saw an opportunity where if I applied myself and learned and did whatever I could possible, I could achieve those same results. Because what's different from me and them? Just the knowledge at that point. All I had to do was apply myself, right? Learn everything I possibly could. So that's exactly what I did. In the very beginning, and probably to this day, I still spend probably 10 hours at least a day learning and try and strategize and test different, strategies. So in the very beginning, I spent 10, 16-hour days in my bed because I had nothing else to do. And I watched every single YouTube video about the foreign exchange markets. I bought every single book I could, right? I went all in. I made that decision that this was going to be my vehicle and I was going to make it happen, because if other people can make it happen, there's no reason why I couldn't. So I want this to be an inspiration for many of you. I didn't know what the foreign exchange markets was. I did not have a laptop, but I applied myself, and you guys have access to the same information I have access to. If not, you guys have access to more information, because the channel that I'm going to be having set up, you guys will be able to access, what I am personally doing. You'll be able to follow what I'm personally doing. I'll be able to cut that learning curve for you. I went through over 150 demo accounts, testing different pairs, different settings, different strategies. I spent in the very beginning, I had several accounts, set up, spending thousands of dollars a month to test out different strategies. And I was able to, what I think, in my opinion, come up with a very solid strategy with the product. And I think a lot of this insight is going to come through my channel. So we're not going to discuss on this call, the in-depth of, what I'm currently running, what settings I'm doing and stuff like that. I will be providing all this information through the channel. But now that you guys have a general idea of, where I came from, Auvoria Prime is, an up-and-coming company. It is truly, new, but this should drive all of you to say that what's stopping you right now from putting in the work and achieving what I've achieved? You could become the next EA Academy coach. Put in the work, provide the data, right? I went through all of that testing. Like Sal was saying, I have tested over 25 different currency pairs. I was running it on an account, and I was tweaking the settings, trying to figure out, what was right, what was wrong, and trying to figure out kind of that golden goose. I was going through all of this, and it was a lot of trial and error. So hopefully a lot of this information that I'll be providing, you guys can, discern for yourself if this is going to be something that you want to follow. But what was my main goal in testing out all this, right? because, Steve has a strategy already put together, and he is already very successful. I mean, if we can do 1% a week, right, that's phenomenal, I think. But what I wanted to do is find something that was probably a bit more duplicatable. I saw a couple issues with what we were currently running, and they're not necessarily things that you can get around, but I saw a lot of new people getting involved that didn't know when to get out of the markets. If they were in drawdown, if they're not in drawdown, how much drawdown they're in. They didn't know, what NFP was. A lot of these new customers coming on board had a tough time, understanding the currencies and the settings. NFP week takes out probably about 12 weeks out of the year, right? First week of every month, every Friday. Those are very volatile weeks with the US dollar. So I saw that there was, things that could be improved on. And my main goal in testing out all these pairs was to identify if there was one pair that I could solely run that performed better than 3 pairs. So after months and months of testing, 9 months of testing, I have all the data to back this up that will be, shortly released through my Telegram channel. I was able to identify that, yes, one pair actually did, in fact, perform a lot better. And I was thinking maybe if I find a pair to match the same results and it would be a little less risky, that would be perfect. But it ended up being that I personally think that this one pair is more safe to run because you're not having 3 pairs, right, running. You don't have as much equity in there, so you could potentially increase your lot size. This pair, GBP NZD, needed some tweaking done, but that tweaking, came along, and Auvoria Prime has worked very well with me in getting the proper settings done so we could run this properly. And the benefit that I personally see in running this is now with running GBP NZD, I don't have to personally worry about NFP week anymore. Now I just gave myself 12 more weeks of trading because I don't have to worry about USD news. In my testing, I ran all 25 pairs through everything. There was no news filter. I wanted to truly put the software to the test, to push it to its limits, to see if something could withstand these bigger moves in the market. Because it's not a matter of if the big move is coming. It's a matter of when. So I thought that if I could put together a strategy where you necessarily didn't have to pay attention, or I personally didn't have to pay attention to the moves, that the strategy I put together, I could just run it through, all the news. I didn't have to worry about it because I was using such a higher level range that when that big move happened, I was able to withstand it. So now I don't have to worry about NFPs. Now I don't have to really worry about high impacting news events. During this time of testing, right, I have seen some crazy moves in the market. A 1,300 pip, a 1,300 pip move. It was during the first Brexit release. I think this was like 4 or 5 months ago. 1,300 pip move happened. I think it was in a day and a half. And I was able to survive. My account was not blown. There was another recent move that happened. There was a flash crash across all currency pairs. GBP NZD went up 1,200 pips in 1 minute. I was personally in the market at that time with a $55,000 live account. I was running very, very conservative. I was running a 0.11 on a 50K account because with the current economic situation, and we saw the US 30, hit limit down day after day, I knew that we're going to potentially see volatile moves. And I was able to survive that move. So what I wanted to put together is something that, could be duplicatable, something where I didn't have to worry about, predicting when these big moves were happening. I would just work with them. So with that all being said, I don't want to get too in-depth into, what I have done, but I do want to talk about Alexander and Einstein now a little bit. And I am personally using Alexander right now. I have done 47% return this month running GBP/NZD with my settings and strategy in the month. Why was I able to do this? How was I able to do this? You guys will soon find out. You will soon find out. But the important thing is the difference between Alexander and Einstein is Einstein, yes, not sold outside the US, but you only have so much control over the trades. With Alexander, you have pretty much full control, right? You get to manually approve each individual trade. How many of you have seen, Einstein take a trade and you have looked at it and you said, why would Einstein take that trade? The market just moved down, right? X amount of pips, and now it's trying to sell it. But with Alexander, I'm able to, be more picky with my trades. I'm able to see, hey, GBP/NZD has moved 500 pips in the downside. Alexander is asking me if I want to buy or sell. The chances of the markets moving up are higher than the chances of it going down. So then I would approve a buy and I would not approve a sell. So the win rate on what I am personally using right now is just over 90%, which is just, it honestly has blown me away. But I'm just putting the odds more so in my favor. Now, I don't check my back office every single second. Maybe every couple hours, I go in and accept some trades. It takes me, 5 minutes tops to kind of look at the chart and determine if I want to either accept a buy or a sell. And we're just putting the odds more so in our favor, right? I'm just putting the odds more so in my favor by doing an analysis of the chart and then accepting if I want to buy or sell. So I truly believe that, Alexander is going to be the best way to go forward with moving, and using it. And this is something that refers back to, what Sal was saying is the products are the same, the company's the same. Why is everyone, achieving such dramatic, difference in results? The more you know, the more you can earn. So it's about taking charge of what you know and really applying yourself to learn more. Because if I wanted to learn, if I want to make more, right, in the software, what do you think I personally would have to do? I personally have to know more. I see too many people getting in and they just think that this thing is going to do all the work. But if you know more, if I know more, we could potentially earn more. So I have done the due diligence. I have been working very hard in the background of, testing this for 9 months now. I have ran it through all major news events, and it still is proving to be successful for me. So I want
Jesse,
to.
I was gonna say, I know you have some slides to back up that data about the extensive testing you've done, why don't we get your slides shared onto the screen so you could give a visual example to what you're about to get into?
Yeah, definitely. Let me pull up this PowerPoint that I put together. I can show you guys a little bit of this Excel sheet that I developed. It was me actually and a friend of mine that put together an Excel sheet. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here, which would break down, right? So I exported all of the data from an FX Blue account and then organized it so I could determine how many trades opened up per level per pair, right? So you can see here, GBP NZD has opened up 970 trades in a 190-day history, right down at the bottom. GBP NZD has opened up 970 trades on level 0, and so forth and so on. So you can see that I kind of organized this so then I could find out what pairs were entering in, deeper levels. If a pair was going into, for example, NZD JPY, there was a time period where I put this on, I think, a very low level range of like 12, and that's why it has level 12 open up as only a pair. But I could determine by looking at this, what pairs were entering in the most drawdown, what pairs were, actually, closing more level zeros, because we all know those are the most profitable, right? So if I knew that a currency pair wasn't going to be opening up anything past, a level 5, then I could essentially go to my risk calculator, determine how much risk I want to play based off of those levels, right? So I have put this all together and kind of narrowed it down to, in the very beginning, I narrowed it down to 10, and then I continued to test 10, and then I narrowed it down to, the top 5, and then I, went down even further to the top 3. So what I personally think are the pairs to kind of run is GBP NZD would be a more aggressive style. GBP AUD or CAD would be a more moderate, and then GBP USD would be a more conservative. And I only run one pair on my account, just one pair. And as you can see, why is GBP NZD the more aggressive? Well, it's entered into higher levels more frequently, right? That's more so the reason why is because it's entering in a drawdown, more frequently than before. There is one more picture that I want to show. Let me just pull this up. Give me a second.
So while Jesse's researching that, what he's about to pull up, the whole purpose of this slide, even though there's a disclaimer on there, all this is just data. That's all it is. It's just showing extensive testing, and most of this is forward testing every single pair at every single risk level, at every single time frame, and then taking a snapshot at what the results were. And we all know that past results never guarantee future performance. That's why we always use disclaimers. But you can't deny that data like this is extremely valuable. And obviously, Jesse would not suggest anyone should copy him. But what we're going to do is we're going to start exposing what people do for themselves. So Jesse's sharing, look, this is what I'm doing, and these are the results that it's yielding. At that point, it's up to the customers of Auvoria Prime at their own discretion, voluntarily, to decide whether or not they want to join Jesse's Telegram channel to track his progress, to see if there's anything they can learn from the data that he's sharing, so that you can learn how to better effectively manage your own account with your strategies, right? It's about taking the best from all of the examples that you've been exposed to and implementing your own strategy.
So here's a quick slide to show what I was kind of talking about. I broke down the stats to, on every pair. On FX Blue, FX Book is a little more difficult. They don't provide as much detailed data on your account. So I personally use FX Blue. And as you can see here, the winning percent, the losing, and then the average trade. So we're closing out trades a lot faster than we would be compared to the other ring. Now, I'm not saying that, again, this is just what I am personally, have come to the conclusion on, that these were the ones that were working here. Again, this is the other sheet. So you can see here, comparing the two, we have a 70%, win rate on Euro USD, Euro JPY 74, USD JPY 74%. And depending on the settings you're running, right? I didn't run probably settings on these pairs that some of you are running. I was running a little bit different settings throughout the time, but gives you a general basis of what we're seeing here, right? And when I'm comparing it to the GBP pairs, 86% win rate, 85% win rate around here. And then our average trade length is a lot less. We do take, a bit average of the losses a bit more, but our wins are also a bit more. And pip profit factor is also a bit more. So just doing a little bit of comparison between the two, you can, be the judge yourself on, which ones would be more efficient to run.
And on that, Jesse, I see some questions coming in here. I want to make sure we're covering this thoroughly with people's understandings here. So number one, people are asking, Jesse, can we use Alexander in Europe? Now understand that Alexander is available worldwide. Alexander is just a manual trade alert product. That's the product that Jesse uses. Now understand the difference here. There's no recommendation for you on which product you should use, right? If you're international, if you're outside of the United States, you have access to Einstein and Alexander. It's your choice, and as well as Iris. If you're in the United States, you don't have access to Einstein. You only have access to Iris and Alexander. Now, there's no recommendation on if you're using Einstein, but then you're seeing results from customers like Jesse that they're getting these results using Alexander. There's no recommendation to switch over, but you have to understand the difference, okay? The difference between Alexander and Einstein is that the base strategy is identical, but the implementation of the strategy is completely different. Why is that? It's because on Alexander, you manually have to approve any trades that are taking place on that account, right? Every single trade that's executed is manually approved. The advantage to someone like Jesse, who has experience in trading Forex, is that when he receives the manual trade alert, he goes back to the charts. He goes back to the market activity and says, do I concur with this decision? So if Alexander sends a trade opportunity alert for Jesse to buy or for Jesse to sell, he can go and look at the charts himself and determine whether or not that's a trade that he wants to take. Versus Einstein, you put in your own settings, you choose the risk, you choose the lot size, and from there will be trades executed without manual approval of every single trade, right? And that's why that product's not available in the United States. But, I've been saying it from day one that I believe as people grow in learning how to trade in Forex, more and more people, I believe, will gravitate towards Alexander instead of Einstein. That's just my opinion. The reason is because when people have more knowledge, they feel more comfortable being in more control. And that's the key. That's the difference with Alexander, is that you're in full control of every single trade. That's why if someone comes to me and says, oh man, I'm international, I'm using Einstein, and I don't know why this trade was executed in this direction, right? Well, in Alexander, you'd be able to decline that trade. You'd be able to review whether or not that was the right decision. And most manual traders are obviously they're using Alexander because of that advantage. So just wanted to touch on that base there. And Jesse, I think another critical thing here, is there's a stop loss that normally is integrated into the settings when you're running GBP NZD, right? Now, keep in mind, folks, if you're listening to this, it doesn't mean that you should go run GBP NZD. That's not what it means. You have to understand that everything you're seeing, there's a lot more to it. There's a story behind the story. It's about recipes and combinations that work together. It's not one thing. It's not like you just take the same settings and apply it to a different pair and you're going to get phenomenal results. You have to study, you have to learn, and you have to see the whole picture. But Jesse, why don't you take a moment here? I like how you described, when you run a GBP pair, it's not directly affected to NFP week, so you pick up an extra week of trading. Now, there was a customized option created today on Alexander and Einstein where you can adjust or remove a specific stop loss that's a part of the strategy. So can you touch on that stop loss, Jesse, and kind of what people should expect going forward? If someone wants to track your activity at their own discretion, how important is it to understand how to manage that stop loss that is an option?
Yeah, definitely. That's a very valid point here, Sal. And I want to give you guys some insight, disclaimer that when I was doing this testing, what I found out is GBP pairs, if you're familiar with the markets, you'll know they move a lot more pips. The ATR is a lot higher every day, right? So maybe on the average pair that, like say, for example, Euro USD may move on tops of 100 pips per day. But on these GBP pairs, we're seeing the average move could be potentially hundreds of pips a day. So when I was first testing this out, what was happening was when I went to go open up a level 4 on the GBP pairs, my level 0s were hitting my stop loss. And it's not that my account couldn't survive the bigger moves, right? I was running on more conservative settings per, lot size per $1,000 in my account, but that the 250 pip, default stop loss would get hit, and then I would take, X amount of percent of a hit on my account. So I started to actually start going in and manually deleting these stop losses. Now it would not be, possible if Auvoria Prime has not worked with me and has now implemented, and Sally, this is going to be live going Sunday. Is this true?
Yeah, so it's actually available now, and the template image has already been updated by our IT department. So this new customized option for that default stop loss to where now it's adjustable and you could even remove it, right? Totally up to the discretion of the trader. It's going to be available it's available today, right? But the markets are closed. So when you go to restart your MT4 and VPS terminal at the start of tomorrow's market open, that will already be available. And I think it'd be critical, Jesse, since you're a big customer on using that strategy, to record a video on how you interact with that stop loss now that it's customizable.
Yeah, I'll definitely be coming out with a video, and I see a lot of questions, people asking, where is this Telegram channel? I am sure that if you don't see it now, it will be up shortly. But yes, that 250 pip stop loss kept getting hit, and I was still able to see profitable results with that 250 pip stop loss being hit. But now that we have a setting where I can adjust that stop loss to either, delete it completely or have it at a different level. Maybe I want to have it, just an example. This is an example. Maybe I want, instead of 250 pips, I want it at 600 pips, right? Then that is something we can do. So now people won't have to go in and manually delete that. It'll be a lot more duplicatable, and you won't have to worry about, potentially taking, a 3% hit when that stop loss actually gets triggered. Sal, is this Telegram channel going to be up and ready by the end of the day so that these people
it's already
can get linked in?
available. Yes, what I would have, Steve Vetterol, he's a host. I don't have my telephone on the host channel, so I can't share the Telegram channel link into the chat to all participants. If Steve Vetterol, if you want to take the channel link you have and put it inside the chat for all participants, because I can't do that. Another important thing that came up, Jesse, is I know your strategy. You trade on a specific time frame, but I know visually on screen you were showing an M15 chart, 15 minutes. When I know primarily you like to trade on the 1 minute time frames. Which, guys, those types of questions, Jesse hasn't even addressed the time frames yet, right? So don't worry, don't make assumptions. You know, this is for your benefit as a trader. Is don't make assumptions unless something is specifically taught on. Don't worry about it. Okay, if you see a red dot on the left side of your screen, don't freak out. The red dot probably has nothing to do with your life, and it's not something to worry about. Only focus on what's being taught, what's being exposed, what's the focus of the call. So, Jesse, I'll pass it back to you, but we'll get that Telegram channel posted in the chat.
Hey guys, just real quickly.
Go ahead, Steve.
It's already in there, so it's in my trade tracker with Steve Vetterol Telegram channel, and if you guys want to post it, Sal, in the Auvoria Prime corporate as well, that would be great.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I kind of want to, I'm just going through some of these questions here. There's so many. I know a lot of you guys are asking what settings I'm using and stuff like that. I will be providing these details through my Telegram. I will be providing a lot more insight. This is just to give you guys a general idea of what is to come in the near future. Would I be able to switch from Einstein to Alexander? I'm almost positive that's not going to be an issue if you would like to do that. Also been doing a bunch of different experimenting with different currencies. I love hearing that you're doing, you know, different experimentations. Definitely demo account for any type of new trading. Even though I have a track record of being successful, this is going to be a new setup, a new pair, new settings that you are potentially running, right? So I would still encourage a demo until you become familiar, because this is going to go into the different time frame. I'm running it on a 1 minute time frame. So there's buys and sells being placed at the same time. If you're using Einstein, you can actually, even still with Alexander, you could approve a buy and sell. We're actually getting a lot more trades on average per week. We're probably closing, I would say, 90 trades on average just on this single pair alone. And I think on average, when you're looking at the Euro USD, USD JPY, and Euro JPY, you're probably closing out an average of maybe 40 or so. So we are taking a lot more trades, and that's the benefit of running it on that smaller time frame, is we're getting into buys and sells. So regardless if the market is going to move up or down, I would still have a buy and sell, and either one is going to be cashing out in profit. The other benefit I saw in running it on a smaller time frame is those hedge trades come into play. So when you do start to get into drawdown, right? Say you're in sell positions and the market keeps moving up. When you're on a smaller time frame, it'll keep actually placing buy positions with, you know, still in the drawdown. So you're actually building up your account equity when you're in drawdown. I know with running it on a daily time frame, you get stuck in a drawdown, and the only time those trades are going to close if that trend starts to go back in your favor. This is a whole new game here, you guys. It's going to behave a lot differently. So highly suggest, you know, for at least for the first month of following me, if you decide to be running on a demo account. Going through some more of these questions. Could you mention how running this pair on smaller accounts less than $2,000 would be risky? I personally, you know, started off with a $1,000 account. I think that's a tough question to answer, Susan. I think it really depends on people's risk tolerance. It could vary. I have scales essentially that you could use to, use it on different account balances. That's all going to be based on, the lot size that you're really starting with. I think obviously running an expert advisor on more capital, more than 10,000 is always going to be the safest, safer route than running it on smaller capital. That's just my opinion though. Should we trade on Monday even though it's a holiday?
Yeah, real quick on that. I mean, we're going to get hundreds of questions here. We'll be here until Christmas if we get into the details right now. The point of this call, folks, is to introduce Jesse as our first Expert Advisor Academy coach. And once you are following his channel, if you choose to do that, you'll have a method to ask questions. And again, most of you probably won't like this statement, but you have to be patient. Okay, you have to slow down. Don't if you even right now on this call, right? If you're like, okay, I need 20 answers right now on this call right now, you're already missing the point, okay, of Forex trading and becoming a successful Forex trader. It's not about demanding a whole bunch of answers immediately to go and start taking all these risky decisions with your account. Okay, it's a process to learn. This call is an introductory call to let you know that as a company, we've seen tremendous results from different customers, and these customers will have an opportunity to have subscribers who want to follow those strategies at their own discretion to learn from those things, right? So it's about getting prepared to learn, getting prepared to track the strategies that you as a customer that you like best, right? And so we don't want to spend too much time on Q&A on this call just because there's over 700 people on the call, and we'll be here all day and night. We don't want to choose some and not choose others because then people feel left out and stuff. So, first off, I'd like to know this. If you guys are understanding the call, are you guys excited? You can type yes inside the chat box. Tell me yes if you're excited to learn new strategies that, someone like Jesse himself has used to earn over 40% in profit in a single month. Now, again, you always have to understand that is so uncommon. It's almost ridiculous that we will never, ever have that as an expectation, right? It's considered unreasonable, right? But just to know what's possible, that you think, okay, if someone can use a strategy and make 47%, so if someone learns that strategy and follows proper risk management philosophies, is profitability possible? Absolutely. And we also have to talk about the trailing weekly goal. Don't forget about the trailing weekly goal. That's a customizable feature that we put into the product to where as soon as your account achieves a level of profit, if you get into profit, you as the user of that product, you have full control over securing the amount of equity that you've achieved in gains on that account by activating the trailing weekly goal. Okay, so a quick example is when you're using a strategy that's more aggressive, if you get into profit by Sunday night after the market's open, if you get into profit on your own account by Monday or Tuesday, whatever that is, you need to learn how to use the trailing weekly goal function to where you have a equity stop loss on your account to make sure that you don't take risk of losing what equity you've achieved. That was the whole point of that setting, is that it allows users to run different strategies, even if they can be more aggressive, while securing the profits that have been achieved on that account, right? It's all about risk management. So just wanted to cover that because that's critical. Most of you should have the channel at this point. I know that, Jesse, we're well over an hour and 15 minutes into the call. This is just the beginning, right? There's a long, long journey ahead of us to learn and to grow together. But we are proving to the world that Auvoria Prime has the best Forex products in the world, and we will build the largest community in the world of successful Forex traders. We have a unique affiliate opportunity, and the focus is on products and transforming someone's life through education and technology in the Forex world. Jesse, if you have any closing statements on setting proper expectations for this week, what people should expect if they join your channel voluntarily to track your activity, what should they expect from that And then if you want to pass the call over to Steve as well to close this out.
Yeah, thanks. Just setting expectations. Like again, like I was saying, let me just take a sip of water here. There's all of you that decide to join the Telegram channel and follow my lead. I highly encourage using a demo. Highly encourage it. You're going to be seeing, trades being taken differently, putting on a smaller time frame. I'm using completely different settings from what you're used to. This is something totally new. So please, take that into consideration and use a demo account, become familiar, and then once you feel comfortable, then at that time you can go live if you choose to. The stuff that is going to be, provided in the Telegram channel, I will be telling you every time that I go on and accept, any trades with Alexander. As of right now, I have the most experience using Alexander. I'm just starting to dive into Einstein. I will also be providing, giving you guys the settings that I use for Alexander and settings that I use for Einstein. And, keeping you guys up to date. I'll be posting videos and short tutorials on how I'm actually analyzing the markets and stuff like that. I appreciate you all hopping on this call. I look forward to, helping you guys see some more success. And I'm just going to pass it off to Steve because this call is getting long. But thank you, everyone, for hopping on.
All right, so thank you again, Sal. Thank you very much, Jesse. Very inspiring story, folks. Please do me a favor and do not blow up our Telegram channels and inboxes with tons of questions related to, can I get the files? Can you share the settings? All that. I promise you this will come to you guys in due time. We need to vet this stuff out, okay? So I wish everybody a great holiday weekend for those in the countries that are selling a holiday. My name is Steve Vetterl of Auvoria Prime CMA.